Hey there, hope you're doing well. It's 2025 and it's January 2nd when I'm recording this video. So the year is we're just getting started with the new year and we have plenty in all our roadmaps, right? In all of our roadmaps. Now, based on what has happened in the last 6 months to a year or so, give or take, in the world of engineering and technology, more specifically in the world of AI, I'm quite certain that whatever you had in your plan, at least in your roadmap, a year ago, maybe 8 months ago, has probably undergone a fair bit of changes, if not quite a bit of changes. At least that's the case with us. We know we do have a number of things we want to accomplish this year, but we are making adjustments to it, and we've made adjustments to it, and we're starting to uh, move in that direction just because you have to keep in tune with the times and you have to build software the way it's supposed to be built. And I've said this a number of times in my recent videos. So what we're going to do a number of things this year as a company, uh, but what I want to share in this video is in this journey there's plenty that I and we in the company have to learn when it comes to AI. I mean, there's plenty is an understatement. Almost everything, right? I mean, right now, like a number of us, I'm sure there are people who have already made some headway there, but a lot of even if I have to generalize, a general engineering population is still getting their sort of feet wet and hands dirty, if you will, uh, in trying to learn everything, in trying to keep abreast of everything that's happening, learn as much as we can, and sort of incorporate those learnings into software that we're building. Right? It's one thing to learn in isolation. It's fine. I mean, some of us can do it, some others cannot. Like I mean, we cannot do it in the company. We learn with a purpose. We want to be able to execute to our learnings as we continue to learn. That is the only way we know how to sort of imbibe or digest that learning. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of theory, and then you wake up the next morning and you forget it. So in that journey, I'm going to be, at least in the company, we're going to be creating these podcasts like we do all the time, but there's going to be a genre or a category of podcasts that are geared towards AI. And it's going to be us learning AI here, but just learning it with the camera turned on. So it's sort of we can collectively learn. Now, again, depending on where you're at in this journey, you might be far ahead, in which case some of this could be rudimentary to you. Uh, in other cases, it might be on par. Maybe you're learning with us and you're kind of where we are at, or maybe in some other cases we might be slightly ahead and you're doing a little bit of catching up, which is fine as well. So it doesn't matter where you are. My hope is that this helps you, right? And it's certainly going to help us because this is how we want to discover the products and services that are available, so we know what we can possibly leveraging and integrating, much like we want and we reach out other people and other people reach out to us to be able to integrate our APIs, mobile APIs into their systems. We want to be able to integrate what's out there so we don't reinvent the wheel, right? As simple as that. So, so that's a slight, it's more detailed than I would have liked for the introduction to be. But let me give you an idea as to the type of items that I'm hoping that we will cover in this journey. And it's going to be literally hitting record and learning, right? There's no prep work. There almost never is when I come to these recordings. It's like, you know what, let's learn together. There's a whole lot of fun in doing so that way. So let me share my desktop and just sort of socialize the type of things that I want to be able to explore. And here's the objective, right? It's learning with a purpose. But before we get to the specific purpose, we sometimes also want to understand what's out there in the larger world, so we know how we can be solving the same problems that we probably saw last year very differently. So it's in tune with the times. Or when we also are solving newer problems, we know how to solve them because we have actually we are aware of what's out there. So let me share my desktop here, right? And then, um, and some of this will likely be published as a course. I mean, I don't know. It just depends. Some would be podcasts. But the idea is to be able to share, sort of learn collaboratively and enjoy the process of learning. So you see AWS here. If you go to AWS products, and again at Snowball, we use AWS heavily. We do use Google Cloud and Azure here and there, but our default go-to place is AWS, not simply because they are the largest cloud providers out there, but it's because we've been using them for many, many years, like a number of you, I presume. And so it's kind of like home. Of course, the home keeps changing because the catalog keeps growing, and it's quite overwhelming, to be honest. But it's still home in that sense. So if you are probably using other providers, if you want for us to look at some of these other products offered by Azure or Google Cloud, we'll be more than happy to do that. Just let us know. But our default sort of go-to place, if you know what I mean, is AWS. They have, this catalog is just absolutely insane, right? It keeps growing, which is awesome, but it's also overwhelming. What makes it also challenging is number of times that AWS, which probably is true of other providers as well, offers competing products and solutions. So you kind of have to pick and choose. If you want a database, there's like probably 7 or 8 different options out there, and a lot of them might solve your problem. So you're gonna have to find which one makes the most sense, and they're not all entirely distinct from each other as well. So that I just took database as an example, which is probably true for a fair number of their other products as well. Okay, so I think what we're going to primarily look at, I want to start looking at ultimately in this journey. Uh, we want to look at everything here, which would be awesome, right? Just going through just about everything, even if we don't get to too much detail, but at least sort of signing up and getting our feet wet and playing with it for a half hour, an hour per product, we'll still be able to cover the gamut at some point of time. It'll be quite exciting. But that's the larger goal. But in the near term, taking baby steps. I want to start with artificial intelligence, just because that's it's what we are all eager to learn and come up to speed with. So we'll start with AI, and then in this list here, we'll sort of keep going. And one of the things I've been wanting to look at for a bit, is Amazon Bedrock. So we look at that. Maybe we can start there. I honestly don't have a preference necessarily, but that's something that I've been wanting to look at for a bit. And we use a number of AWS services in our tech stack at Snowpal. That's not one of it, not at this point. But I have a feeling it's going to make it into our world, quite soon. So we'll probably start with Bedrock, kind of sign up and figure out what I actually did. Pick a model. I just spent like 5 minutes on it, I promise. But we'll go just do those 5 minutes again. It's not a big deal. We look at that. We look at the different foundation models. We'll look at what are the differences between what is an LLM and what is a foundation model. What are the differences? A lot of it is is theory that we are trying to digest and sort of make it more practical, so we can feel it, not just sort of see it and read it. And that only comes by experience, by doing more and more, right? It's not adequate if you just did it once or twice. You have to do it like tens of hundreds of times before you are able to sort of tell yourself that you're comfortable with that, and you claim that you have some awareness, even if not a whole lot. So we will learn together. We look at, even if you don't know what an LLM is, or what a foundation model is. Let's look at it. We'll look up descriptions. Sort of, instead of me doing it in isolation, I'm just going to do it after hitting record and looking at the screen here or the camera once in a while. So we'll start with Bedrock. We look at Anthropic, because when I went to Bedrock, I noticed that there's a number of different models that they support. Anthropic is one, I believe, is a different company that Amazon has a large investment in, if memory serves me right. They do some, there's some interesting stuff there. So we look at a few models and see what does it mean? What are the differences between these models? Because to me, that is one of the first challenges we have personally is what are the models that are available? What specific use cases do each of them solve? And how are they different from each other? And where do you start? There's not going to be simple, straightforward answers, I'm pretty certain, but we still want to find out how we can sort of maneuver and go about this. And again, even if somebody, if you've done this for 6 months or a year, in the grand scheme of things, in the context of AI, I think this is an inflection point. To me, the way I see, there's three categories of people, loosely speaking. One, folks have been in the business of building software for years and decades, and sort of nearing their retirement, if you will. So there you have an interesting choice. It's you're probably closer to retirement, but you still are very eager to know what's going on. So you might sort of push your retirement away, or you might be like, what, I've had a couple of people tell me, what, I've done this for a long time. I'm getting close to that phase of my life, so I'm just going to sit this one out, which makes sense. To each our own, right? Sit this one out. So I don't honestly care what is going to happen in the world of AI, because I'm just pretty much at that point in my career. Now, if you are that person, then this whole series wouldn't make a lot of sense. But at least it would be, maybe you can watch it for entertainment or for curiosity or whatnot, right? Or maybe it inspires you to sort of push your retirement away. Uh, Two, the second category of people, someone like me who's been with the world of building software for about 2 decades now, but we have many more decades to go before we are anywhere close to retirement, if there is even such a day where we could retire. A lot of us probably don't want to till we end up till we live on planet Earth. So that that's an interesting group of people, because you've been building software a certain way for a long time, but now let me make sure I am recording. Yes, I am. For a long time, but now you have to be doing things differently. Now, if you're not doing things differently, I think there is a different problem, right? And it could be a serious problem, because I've said this many times in the recent podcasts and our courses as well. If you're solving the same problem that you solved last year, the exact same way this year, it's likely that you're just doing it wrong. Or if you're solving a new problem altogether and you're going to go with the design patterns and architectural methodologies that you may have used in the past, you are probably doing it wrong as well. So you're going to have to do it very, very differently. What that means, not just for the sake of doing it differently, it's because it's going to be prudent and optimal and efficient and scalable, and you can use more adjectives there, uh, to doing it that way, simply because we have all of these tools available to us that we did not necessarily have a few months ago, at least a year or so ago. So people in that, if that's where you are in your career, then you are going to certainly be curious about, okay, how do I build software starting 2025? How should I be doing things differently? How should I guide my team? How should training happen? All of those types of things, right? So that's smack where I'm at. And I know a lot of people that are following our page and stuff like that probably fall in that category as well. And then there's a third group of people, Gen Z or Alpha, whatever you call, for folks who are entering the job market, right? Probably as Gen Z, or who've just been there for a year or two. That's very interesting, because you are actually kind of the starting point in your career, and you are starting to build like how I was like 2 decades ago, right? So you're going to learn how to build software in the real workplace outside of college, and you want to do it the way it's done today, which means you luckily don't have the baggage, quote unquote, of unlearning and relearning like we do. You can nicely just start learning, right? Which is awesome. So you're going to have fresh ideas, a different perspective altogether. So I couldn't be more excited to work with the Gen Z folks, because there's plenty of learning that's going to come from a new a fresh pair of eyes and whatnot. So for you, if you fall in that category, this journey is going to be quite exciting, very exciting actually, because we are now going to be touching stuff that's anywhere close to even boring. Not that we do any boring stuff at Snowpile regardless, but in this context, when you look at AI, whether it's Amazon Q, Bedrock, SageMaker, which I think believe recently was renamed to SageMaker AI, and there's a number of these other AI related tools, we can look at a number of these, sort of sign up, skim the surface, and then as some of them become more interesting and more relevant, we can dig deeper. And I'm pretty certain I'm going to be, hitting a wall many a times on this journey. It's okay. Let's just hit it together and maneuver and work our way out of this, which will be pretty cool. So those are the three categories. So depending on where you're at, I'm hoping no matter which category you belong to, there's probably others as well, that you find this just as exciting as I'm expecting for this to be. Like for, just before I end this, I'm going to say that a lot of these, like Amazon Poly, I've not even heard of. Amazon Textract, kind of seen this a couple of times before. Deep Racer, I think I was at one of the AWS conferences. I remember, is this? Yeah, I think it had to do with gaming or something, if I remember correctly. I get if memory serves me right. So some of this I've at least known, like PyTorch, played with it a little while ago, not on AWS, but outside of AWS. But I'm new to all of these. And as we're building the next set of things at Snowpal, be it APIs, be it our web app or mobile apps or whatnot, we never do it a certain way just because we did it that way in the past. It's quite the opposite. Our general approach happens to be quite different. We ask ourselves if we are doing it the way kind of should be done, uh, given that problem, given the timelines, given the current environment, given the skill sets, given the market, given everything else. So we make our best judgments and go with that. Do we get it wrong, get it right all the time? um, Unfortunately not, but at least we make an honest effort, and we hope and we believe that we get it right most of the time. At least that's the best we can hope for. So anyways, that was a pretty broad introduction. So if any of this resonated with you, right? If you're like, what, sounds cool, I would like to sort of learn together, try this out, then what, just take your laptop, check this out, and you can probably do it side by side. And if I'm a little bit further ahead, you can just pause the video and then come back and do the same things and whatnot, right? And then if you have questions, you can, you're more than welcome to hit us up, and we'll be happy to answer to the extent that we can and time permits. I think I think my mic seems to be coming in the way here. So that's basically it, for this. Until next time. Thanks.